Hey, welcome back. My name is Paul. This is the MapDeck Cycle Works channel, and we are attempting to do a cycling related video every single day that the World Cup is on, because this is way more interesting. Now, today's video, I want to talk about the cost of cycling crisis, and we've got 3 bottles of ketchup here. More on that in a second. First of all, the comments from the last video were absolutely insane. It's so inspiring. Thank you. Just keep adding to it, because we are just learning so much. If you're down there in the comments and reading, it's like an educational place to hang out. It's so cool. I've also put up a blanket to try and help improve the sound. Let me know how that goes. I've learned about loudness normalization from one of you as well, so I might do that in the edit. Yeah, this blanket is like from the yoga studio, which is like across the way, and it smells of lavender. It's dead nice. And today we're actually in the classroom. We teach cycle maintenance courses here in partnership with Kendall College, and this is the classroom. So if you ever come on a cycle maintenance course with us, this is where you'll probably recognise this little room. So yeah. Okay, on to today's video. The cost of cycling is getting absolutely insane. The cost of a Shimano brake pad is criminal. there's no way to put it. It's almost £40 for a Shimano finned brake pad, like 38 quid or something. It's can't quite wrap my head around it. A set of good quality Pirelli P0 tubeless SLs are £77 retail. So today I want to talk about where you should think about spending your money, where you should perhaps buy the good quality, know what you're going to get every single time you walk in to anywhere in the world and you pick up a bottle of Heinz tomato ketchup, you know what you're getting. This is Sainsbury's own brand. Sainsbury's is a supermarket here in the UK, and what's in this is probably the same ketchup that you'll find in an Asda branded bottle, a Morrison's branded bottle. I'm pretty sure it all comes from the same factory, but they're all just rebranding it. Sort of ring any bells? I think so. And this is Hubbard's. I can only imagine that what's in here is so embarrassing that nobody actually wants to put their brand name on it and take ownership of it. I think this is quite a nice analogy for what we're going to talk about today. And you can probably already start putting like brands that you've seen in cycling into some of these labels. I think you get the idea. So let's get started. I want to talk first of all about frames. Frames is your investment piece. That is the thing that you really do take ownership of. This is the bit that you're really proud to own. You've checked out the geometry, you've got your size right, you know what the use case is, you like the color, you read all the reviews. The frame is the thing that you are really buying. Everything else can wear out, frame is it. So that is, for me, here. Not even consider something along that lines from AliExpress or whatever, no brand. That is not where I'm going to be. This is, I need to spend my money here. Now, this represents like things like Giant, Trek, Cannondale. You know what you're going to get. You can walk into a bike shop in most major town cities around the world, and there'll be someone there that knows about Trek, Cannondale, Giant, Specialized, etc. You know what you're getting. Absolutely fine. If you've got problems, you know where to go with those problems. This is a bit more interesting. This for me represents brands like Ribble, that brand that must not be named, otherwise they'll remove this video. Things like Winspace, Elves, not quite sure what's in the bottle. You're kind of happy that there's sort of something you recognize. It might have had some reviews, but yeah, how do you feel about it? Now, my buying tips, if you're here in this sort of price range, is check out the websites, not just the contact us page, because the contact us page is normally like just a fill in this form and we'll get back to you, both Elves and Winspace. They're like that. And actually they're good examples, because if you dig deep into Winspace, you will see that there are actually dealers in the UK and around the world. And you can call them. They've got their phone numbers on there. You can call them up and say, hey, I would like to buy a Winspace frame, please. And they'll probably sell you one. And that is really important, because if you are going to if you need to claim against your Consumers Rights Act, then you need someone to speak to. You can't expect a factory in China to listen to you when you want to enact your 30-day right for a refund because you found a fault. You can't expect 6 months later for this Chinese factory to even have an active phone number if you want to get it repaired or replaced, and definitely not 6 years after. So if you can find someone that's accountable in your country, that's okay. And on the flip side of this, the elves, for instance, which are getting great reviews online, is there's no one accountable in here in the UK. There's no one to ring. If you're buying one of them and you have a problem with it in 30 days, what the hell are you going to do? You're relying on a contact us form on their website to get your money back. That's not going to happen. I'd be curious to know if any of you have actually tested that. But I bet you it's not as simple as picking up the phone to one of those Winspace dealers or even drive into their front door and say, broken, not good enough, money back. That's where I'm at with this. If you're going to do that, like we've demonstrated in the videos with that brand that must not be named, etc., then yeah, that's where I need to be. Wheels, wheels, I'm exactly the same. It's here. These are your investment pieces. Your wheels make more difference than anything. I won't labour the point. Same sort of idea. Down this route, for me right now, brands like Fast Forward and Crank Brothers have got this together. They're doing some great stuff at some great prices. They're giving you the options that I would like to see. They're giving you DT Swiss hubs, sap-in spokes, brass nipples, guarantees on those carbon rims, dealer network. For me, that's where it is. Things like NV and stuff like that are off the planet. Zip performance-wise, fantastic. You've got to know what you're buying. It's a bit more like buying the next level on, the boutique brands. If you're buying here, this is things like Hunt, Scribe, Prime, Ven, Pensenti, those sort of things where you might not know this brand, or the bike shop that you go into might not have heard of them, but there's still some good stuff out there. The Hunt wheel is actually a really good example because a few years ago I wouldn't really rate them. We had a reputation of them always coming loose. They seem to have got a lot better at that. I haven't seen any like that for a while now. But they also had the reputation of, if you wanted to find a spare part, it was almost impossible, to the point where you used to ring them up and go, I need some pull springs for this hub. I've got no idea what hub this is. You don't list it on your website, and they wouldn't know either. They were like trying to work out what model year that they used that hub on that rim. And now it looks like someone's got ahead of that, and well done, by the way, if that was you at Hunt driving that, yes. Now you can log on and you can see images of all the various hubs and the parts that you're going to need, and they're all listed. It's brilliant. Things like Scribe, if you're listening from Scribe, then that's where you need to be. If you're going to get people like us working in bike shops around the country to give advice to the customers walking into our shops to say, yeah, check out a set of Scribe wheels, that's where you need to be. Most of the problems with spokes coming loose, most bike shops can kind of sort that out for you if you have that problem, and you probably get a credit back from one of them. So it's okay to be here. Okay. So next up, I want to touch on suspension very briefly, because in the hierarchy of how you buy a bike, suspension would come next. The problem with suspension is a bit like we've got a big pot and we've poured all this ketchup in and given it a good stir and then served you up something. You never quite know what it is that you're going to get if you're going to make a blanket recommendation, because there's so many variations. You have, the premium range, the bottom of the range, and then we sort of have these OEM spec, where what you get on your bike and what not actually be available aftermarket, and how you upgrade. It gets complicated, and when you're looking at the range of how that might compare to, a Fox or a RockShox, which you think is here, is actually more likely here, or could actually even be here, depending on how it's come out in sort of the original equipment manufacturing, the OEM wash. So I think that's a video in itself. Let me know if you're going to be interested in that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is tyres. Tyres is your contact point with the ground, and this is, without a doubt, you need to be here. Like never, ever, ever skimp on tires. Like if your tires are absolutely worn out and you need to get to work, do what you can to try and get yourself at least here on a branded tire. But tires are just so important. If on the performance sort of leisure side, they make more difference to your ride than almost anything else. Like do not skimp on tires. And sort of the commuting leisure side, yeah, it's tempting to go here, but I promise you, this is nothing but punctures and warped tires and sidewalls ripping, and like at least go for a brand you recognize that you've got some recourse on. So yeah, tires. Group sets. Actually, I should probably mention group sets, because group sets for me actually is like here. This is all lovely, but I think this isn't necessary. You know, I don't think that if you need to spend money, once you've got your frame and once you've got your wheels and you've got your tires and you've made those investments, then if you need to save money, then the group set is probably the place to do it. Now, because it's going to wear out anyway, and you don't really see it, as long as you've got the gear ratios that you need, then it's fine. This represents things like Shimano, Tiagra, Sora, Claris, Shimano, Dior. Perhaps I recognise brand names, but SRAM, Apex, etc. But maybe lower down in their range. It's still good. It might not last very long. It might be heavy, but it's going to do the job. It's going to move your wheels. It's going to let you go cycling at a price point, and as long as you've got good wheels and good tyres and everything else, and your bike fits, you're still going to enjoy your bike ride. This sort of represents micro shift, sensor, that sort of stuff. And if you've splashed out on the frame and the wheels and this is all you've got left, then so go for it. Like, just because at some point they're going to wear out, some point you will be able to upgrade because you've got a good upgrade platform that you've chosen already. And yeah, you're still going to be able to shift gear and move your bike and go out for a bike ride. So, and if you've got, say good tires and everything else, then you're going to still enjoy it. So there we go. That's my thought on that. The other thing I would say is your contact points, your saddle, your bar tape, that sort of thing. I'm like here with this. I would definitely spend a little bit of money if you can. Doesn't have to be super premium, but just this is the bit that your bum's going to sit on, your hands are going to touch, your shoes, your feet are going to be in. This is the bit that your skin is actually going to feel and notice. So be prepared to spend a little bit of money on there. Like that's somewhere to treat yourself. Things where we can really save money, I would say, are brakes and brake pads and rotors and stuff like that. So controversial, I know, but the cost of brake pads and brake rotors is just flipping bonkers at the moment. I don't know how they are charging what they're charging for some brake pads and some brake rotors. We had some brake rotors from SRAM, 120 quid for a brake rotor. I think, yeah, I'm really happy to, this is your superstar components, your things off eBay. You can get them really, really wrong. It's unlikely that they're going to go too far wrong. If you're worried, then stick to your Shimanos, but feel free to go right to the bottom of the range. Things like Aztec, Jaguar make some really good stuff here at that price point. Here you'll find things like, Gorilla brake pads, that sort of stuff, where actually you're saving quite a lot of money. Okay, they might wear out a little bit quicker. They might make a bit more noise, but it's such a big saving. I think it's kind of worth it. I really do. So yeah, here if you can, here if you have to. I would probably say that this becomes a bit of a luxury when you're talking about brakes and like I say, brake rotors, the top of the range stuff is, when you unbox something and you go, it's like, is that all I got for my money? That's how I sort of feel about brakes, pads and brake rotors at the moment. I don't really know why they're so expensive. It's all got a bit crazy. Other consumables, things like cables. fine to be here. Like, it's great to have like the Shimano Siltech stuff. I don't really rate it. I actually think as long as you're getting a good stainless steel cable that's polished, I think that's great. That's probably all you need to worry about, really. It's when it's things that aren't polished or made of galvanized or even no sort of coating at all, I'd probably get worried. But you know, at that point, you're sort of spending pennies, like 80p a cable. With sort of this is like 4, 5 quid maybe a cable, and you really don't need to be spending £10 or more on a gear cable. You know, that's just crazy. So yeah, that's I think that's all we need to say. Yeah, let me know what else you've come across. I think that's quite an interesting little chat through. I quite enjoyed it. So tomorrow's video is probably going to be on the Strength to Speed channel. If you've been following along, you know that we've sort of split our business out. All our fitness content is now going to be on our Strength to Speed channel. I'm about to go downstairs. We've got some turbo training classes and some strength classes to prepare for. So I'm like putting my other hat on. Let's get going, and I'll see you tomorrow for the day 4 of some football game on somewhere, I think. All right, take it easy.